comparable and worse.
Well, worse in
Search
what
only
way?
for-
Worse investment or worse pitch?
Both.
Well, who knows about the investment
Wow.
part.
We
Got
just
a
had
clue.
one
Been a
just
lot.
now that was
Yeah, the last one was pretty.
that was pretty bad.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Girl on drugs. She was scary.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I mean, people walk in there and some of them are prepared. All of them, you can just tell, spend hours trying to memorize their pitch. And they just sit there and they get really, really nervous. And sometimes it goes in a good direction, and sometimes they just lose it. And that's when it gets bad or interesting or entertaining, depending on how you look at it. And this last one was pretty entertaining.
Well, the Cougar one, it's hard because sometimes people come out and ask for money with a real plan what they're going to do with it. Mark said it really well. You're telling us what you need, not what the business is going to do or where it's going to go.
So do you, each of you have a different philosophy on what to invest and what not to invest?
Yeah, if you start crying, Barbara will give you money.
We try to invest Barbara's money for us.
Actually, Barbara's becoming more of a hard ass.
I'm
She
not-
really
What's
has
going
become-
on this year, Barbara?
I'm tired of being beaten up by
She
these
lost her money on a
creeps.
couple of the ones, and
I didn't lose any money.
That's what happens
Not
when you
yet.
lose money.
Yeah, she gets mad because when I came in last season, I pulled a few tricks on them and they got mad. Then they
Well,
caught up with
I-
my tricks.
I think,
Then
Mark, we
introduced
figured
new
those out
tricks.
pretty quick.
Yeah, they did,
No,
but then I
absolutely.
introduced new tricks and now Barbara's mad at me.
I'm mad at you all the time, but not as mad as I am at this guy.
No, look, I just tell the truth, and I think there's a million deals that they can see. There's 1,000 more that we haven't seen yet, and 1,000 more after that. So I never get emotionally involved. I look at how much cash flow the thing potentially can generate. I don't want to pay more than 5 times that. End of story. I don't
Which is
care about
great
where they
because he's
went to
so
school.
short-sighted on everything he looks at. Any of us with any vision at all, we get all the good deals.
if you knew it was going to be a home run,
This
then the
is
guy
the
would be on the
difference
show.
of being a disciplined investor versus being an emotional.
Mark, what happens to
It's the
businesses?
difference between being able to add value, see the future, and make it happen, or having no vision and only looking backwards.
And making money.
Mark, what happens to businesses that go with Kevin?
He's the Undertaker. They go away to die.
And you know, contrary to Kevin's philosophy, if you always notice, he's always focused on the money, the money. If I hear that one more time. Contrary to him, I never focus on the money. I focus on the individual, and I have invested in so many businesses where the business was off, but the individual was so strong, they reinvented it, and we've made a ton of money.
I absolutely
So
agree
I
with
think
Barbara.
he's so off with this left-brain analytical Harvard pretend MBA type
He
stuff.
never went to Harvard.
I know, but he pretends like he went to Harvard.
Said I went to
No, but
Hey,
he'll
when you get a
fly
good
it.
jockey, you can replace the horse. But when you have a good horse, if you don't have a good jockey, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the jockeys will count. So.
So at least you see we have a different style of investing. I'm right, they're wrong.
So is there no business you've ever regretted not investing in?
No, you know, I never, as soon as they walk past those doors, if I haven't invested in them, they're dead to me. I don't care.
I don't regret any business either that I haven't invested in, even though I've made the wrong decision and not invested in some that have really, really paid off. I just don't
Yeah,
regret
there's
it.
so many things going on. You don't have time to think about that. You know, it's
Woulda,
like-
coulda, shoulda.
Yeah, it's like thinking about your 6th grade girlfriend. What's the point, right? They're gone.
I don't know. I've regretted a few businesses I haven't been able to get that I was beat out on, quite honestly.
Really?
Yeah, because I could clearly see the potential. I know they married the wrong guy. As I marched down that type of thing, and that poor sucker, it happened here today. Right? It's terrible.
What? Who? With me with the jewelry?
Oh my gosh. slavery,
Barbara.
slavery, whatever.
What do you mean
But yes.
slavery?
Yeah, the
Indentured
choice of
servant
words are
is
better
basically
now.
indentured
You know,
servant.
I've already forgotten the name of that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
My deal. That's the name of
There's
it.
so many great
Literally.
entrepreneurs out there. There's so many great people. The longer we stay on the air, the better the ideas get, the more hope that people need, and the better the businesses.
And the more successes we have, which is really bottom line, half of the charm.
Yeah, you can tell the show is really taking off. I mean, you look at the repeat numbers, that's one indication. But then you can tell by the deal flow, and people coming in to pitch us are also far more educated. They know our styles, they know some of the nuances. You know, they'll come back to us with examples of things, particularly the guys who've been here a long time, what they've done. So it makes it a little bit more interesting.
And they get
for
to
us.
know us, which makes it a little challenging. You know, having Mark on this year add a whole nother element.
It's been a
because-
bad
Makes it
element,
work.
quite
Right.
honestly.
Makes it work.
He's got
He-
too much money.
Well, but that doesn't matter. It's not the money, Barbara. You know what it is? It's
It's
just
the
clever
money.
ways to cut us out. He's made it a lot harder.
He
us
made it.
here.
He made it.
I have to work
because-
now.
Yeah.
It's the money.
Yeah. No, it's not because he's so busy that you know what? His mascot's going to show up to the meeting with the poor new entrepreneur, and they're gonna realize they got screwed.
Oh, please.
Picture yourself
It's-
thinking,
I'm gonna open a store called
$50,000,
$1 for all the
500,000.
Shark Tank crap I bought Mark Cuban store. Because
Can I just tell you, some of us just know what to do, You walk in, you say this, done, and everybody's happy. We make money. Others, they get so confused. They just think it's going to take
Now, there's
so
no
much
question
time.
Mark is the richest shark. But
Absolutely.
I have just enough money to screw him up.
And that's the good thing. See, a lot of people understand, none of us have to ever work again. So once you get past the X amount of million mark, the money doesn't really matter. It's how much effort you're going to put in it, and do you specialize in that?
The money
business.
always matters.
No,
What
I'm
always
talking,
matters?
I'm talking about, okay, so somebody has 100 million, Mark has $1 billion. You're not giving it all to a mini guy. You're only giving them $1 million, $2 million, $3 million.
I'd like to get a few of those billions.
No, I got pictures of Mark myself. That's a different story.
And also, what we're learning here this year is that not everything is okay in America, because we're getting real companies that can't get bank loans, that can't even factor their receivables. They can't get loans on real sales, on real goods, on real business. They can't get any money. That is a big problem, and we're a microcosm of what's going on all across America. We're a bank that has a lot more flexibility. We're the bank of Tank, and we can actually lend money, where most banks won't do it anymore.
And that's one of the things that we'll ask that might not come through on the show, or that might be edited out, that we want to see if there's an opportunity to create jobs. How many jobs? Where the
Yes.
products are manufactured. You know, can we contribute in a way that's very positive in a more macro sense? And that's, I think, in all of our cases. Now, it all comes down to making money, because, you know, Damon said right off the bat when I came in, you know, you'll have a sense where you'll feel sorry for somebody, and maybe it'll be charitable, but you can't ever do charity, because it always turns into a loss, and people end up getting hurt. Because the worst thing you want to do, and Kevin does a good job of this, shockingly enough, that, you know, if it's a bad idea, giving the money only just delays the inevitable.
Yeah.
And so you've got to really be clear on that. But again, on the more macro sense, when we can take a business who can't go to a bank, who might have been able to 2 years ago or 5 years ago, and allow them to get back on their feet, or allow them to accelerate their growth, you know, we want to know how many jobs are being created, and, you know, how we're participating, and, you know, that's important to us.
And, you know, you don't really see what happens after Shark Tank ends, because that's when our real work starts. And you know, it is very satisfying, much more satisfying than saying, I'm in.
You know what I would love to see? I would love,
Excuse me, I'm not, wait,
Go
I'm
ahead.
not finished.
See, we go through this all
Excuse
the
me, I'm
time.
not finished. I just wanted to say that once we get in bed with these great entrepreneurs, we
Mark was
actually
always
start
talking about getting in
creating
bed with
jobs.
somebody.
We start
Yeah.
creating other jobs because of their great talent and our money put behind them. And that's
Right.
very satisfying. You actually feel like you're making a real difference.
She's right. You know what? I'd like to invite President Barack Obama to come down and actually see real businesses and what they're going through.
I'd like to
Be-
see him as a guest shark. What
No,
a
I mean
blast.
literally just
Does he have any money?
if you had politicians come in and just listen to the stories, these are the real small businesses. These are the people who are on the cusp of making something happen, or are potentially on the cusp of losing everything because they couldn't find what they needed to get to the next step.
Most of these people that I see are probably 10 times more advanced than I was when I first started.
Yep.
And they cannot get arrested, they can't get a loan, they can't get anything.
Well, I think
It's
some of
amazing.
them are far ahead, but you know, as Mark said, even a bad idea can be turned around. What I really love about the show as it gets bigger, it just shows people that there's hope. Because a lot of people out there don't even know how to start. They don't know how to
They don't
start
know how
a
to start,
business.
where to start.
They don't, you know, they go to
But
their
it
friends,
also
they go to their
exposes
family.
those that have no hope and shouldn't have it.
Sometimes
Well, I
that's
think
the
everyone
best.
has hope.
No,
Everyone has
No,
hope.
some of them are
tragedy
just
is
ridiculous.
misdirected
Some of them
It's
are-
a
yeah.
tragedy to see somebody spend all of their family's
Yes.
capital on an idea that's never been vetted by the private sector independently, arm's length. When you come in here, we don't know where you went to school. what the
We
name of
literally
your
had
dog
people
was.
say, I had a dream. Right? I dreamed about it. And in my dream,
Oh, yeah.
they told
Barbara
me to go.
invested in it.
They told me to go.
Barbara was in their dream.
But you know what, honestly, that is the only time that I really get pissed off, when people ask for an exorbitant amount of money and it's not reality. And I'm not mad per se that it's not reality. I'm mad that grandma will put her money in there, her friends and family put money in there on this whim and this hope, and this person will burn through everything else. And
But
then
Damon,
say,
how
"Oh,
do they know any better? How do they know any better?
They don't know any better.
When you started out, when Mark started out, who did we
They
know
don't
like
know you,
us?
but I get really pissed off because they're going to the everyday hardworking people
Well,
who are now out of work, who are taking out their 401k.
That's
and
what I love
investing in
about this show. Because it gives you the opportunity to see thought people who've done it and ask those tough
But
questions.
you know the difference between when we all started our businesses versus now? We always ask them, so how much of your own money did you put in? Is it your own money? And what did you spend it on? And it's always lawyers,
Yes.
regulation, trademarks, patents. everything
wrong
but the
stuff.
business itself.
Well, some of them, Mark. Some
No,
of
a
them.
lot of them. Almost everyone.
Rob, before I asked for money, I was 7 years without a dime, and I never knew if it was going to go anywhere.
Damon, when I started my business, I went and asked the guy who worked with my dad in the factory who had more seniority because I thought he was the most successful guy that my family knew. That's why I love this. There's 5 successful people up here that are asking the real questions and people can learn from that.
And
So
when I
what
started
should-
my business, I didn't eat for almost 3 years. I had
You're
no
still not
food.
eating, you're
I
sustaining.
was around New York City totally naked. I was crawling in the streets, like begging for donuts.
Naked in bed? What is it with you?
Like the cockroach you were. All right.
Cut that stories in
Barbara,
half.
tell the truth. You were a hooker.
It's amazing how some things never change, right?
So what should people be spending their money on in these early phases, rather than the lawyers and the trademark?
Sales.
Getting their stuff to market, period. Number one, get the
Creating
goods
sales.
out.
Selling.
Sales cures all. Sales cures all.
Creating sales.
But that's why I want our politicians to watch the show, so they get to see that the money is going to things that are counterproductive, and that's keeping people from growing businesses, hiring people. Because if you're spending, $100 an hour on a lawyer, a trademark lawyer, a patent lawyer, an accountant, a tax advisor who's filling out forms for you, that's time that could otherwise been spent visiting customers, visiting prospects, selling your
Well,
product.
it's good for the attorney's business.
Yeah, but,
Building
you know,
house.
Money doesn't always solve it. I always say the only thing that's more expensive than education is ignorance. And if you're not educated, you will spend $10 just the way you'll spend $10 million, and it'll all go down the total. You'll always think, better website, bigger advertising, bigger billboard, just start selling.
Yeah, like we
What's
had-
the one thing that every entrepreneur says they want to spend their money on?
Advertise,
A public
marketing.
relations company.
Advertising,
we heard that all
public
day.
relations.
Something has gone wrong in the last 3 years in America because we vilified business. All of a sudden, people that create the only jobs that matter, the ones in the private sector, are vilified.
I don't think we vilify
Yeah,
business.
but
I think we vilify guys like you from Wall
I hear
Street.
all the time fat cats flying on planes. You want fat cats flying on planes because those are the guys with great jobs. I don't want to put them in jail. I want more fat cats. I want more jobs.
I don't want a fat cat on a plane. I want a guy who's starting a
plenty of
business.
fat
I
cats.
want to join.
I want a lot of rich people. I think there's something wrong. I hope we change that. This show should glorify the entrepreneur.
Yeah, but this is one of the areas that Kevin and I disagree. There's financial engineers, financial investment, and strategic investing.
Financial engineers aren't entrepreneurs, Mark.
Well, I agree, but that's what he's saying. Now, if you're just
I'm
flying
saying
around looking,
anybody that creates a job in the private sector, I don't care what sector
Okay,
it's
that's fair
in,
enough.
is a real job. A government job has no value at all. That is on the back of the hardworking person. So when I see government growing, I get depressed. When I see an entrepreneur pitching, I get elated. And everybody should feel the same way.
Never stop
Shrink
elated
government,
in this
make it
business.
smaller, and provide more capital with less regulation to entrepreneurs.
I agree, too.
It's that simple.
Are we running for politics here, or are we
No, but
talking about
it's
the show?
simplicity.
By the time it's
But
over,
you know what?
that's
If Washington
running
watched this show, they might learn something. You watch the president's speech, and you have the head of GE, you have all these huge companies who are making tens of millions of dollars in stock options and awards. Great, more power to them. But they're not the people who need help. They're the people that have billions of dollars in the bank, and we have people walking in offering us 50+% of their company for $10,000 or $20,000 or $40,000. Where if they didn't have to spend on all this bureaucracy, all this regulation, all this form filling, they might need half as much money and be able to start that company and
Now
get
you're
it
talking
going.
about medical.
Well,
Mark,
Last question.
Last question, they haven't even asked a
Yeah, I
question.
know, we're just on a soapbox.
Shut up.
but
Barbara would shut her
can you
trap.
guys sort of like then give sort of your advice for people who are coming to you and say, what are the do's and don'ts of pitching to the
I
sharks?
mean, if all of us can offer one, I would say, when you walk into the room, the Shark Tank or any room, you better be the smartest person in the world about your business and your industry.
Subject matter expert.
You got to know, because if someone else out there is smarter, they're going to kick your ass.
If somebody's
I-
coming
I'd
into,
like
one
to
second,
answer-
I'm a girl. If you're
That's
coming
why
into the
I'm
Shark
talking.
Tank,
You're a
the best,
woman, baby.
Excuse me. If you're coming into the Shark Tank, the best thing you could do is pitch to your mother-in-law and let her rip your goddamn thing to shreds, because you're going to get better at pitching. I mean, people just really haven't done a great job pitching many times, because they pitch to the people that love them. What are they going to tell them? You're great. You're amazing.
Well, I asked for the tapes. This format's on all around the world. So before I started working there, I said, show me the show. And I tried to find the 3 attributes that every successful pitcher needs. Success defined by getting a check from one of the sharks. And so in every case, these 3 things are there. Number one, they were able to articulate the idea in less than 90 seconds. So it was right away obvious how you could make money as an investor. Then they'd spend about 3 to 4 minutes articulating how they were the right driver and they could execute the business plan. That was number two. And number three, it was clear from those two that they were leaders. They were leaders. Whether you liked them, you didn't like them, every single time those three things came together, and every single guy or woman who got their dollar had those three.
But how about trust?
Look, trust
Trust is if
happens.
you like them, if they're the brand.
Well, it goes
back to
We know we judge them before we even start hearing the pitch. You know that.
You know, you look at a few of these pitches, even the ones that happen today, you'll see those elements there every single time. Every single time. That 90 seconds, that first minute and a half, that's everything.
Sometimes also people get a deal because I can screw one of these other guys. That has happened very rarely, but as soon as I can screw them
No,
up,
no, no,
these
no.
deals-
It's not that you get a deal because you'll screw somebody else. It's that you're on the fence. You don't quite know if you really like it, but if Barbara likes it, I like it a little bit.
But you know, it does feel good to screw the other shark.
Yeah,
Really
it's almost the
does.
confirmation that they like it. Okay, so it's not so bad. So maybe that'll put me over the top. But the added glory.
It's worth 100,000 just
Yeah,
to
exactly.
put some
Yeah.
venom in.
Good job. It's a crazy job to have some fun.
On that note,